Tonight, stunning news from Russia. Vladimir Putin's main critic reported dead.
Make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death.
Western leaders blame Putin. The Kremlin says the death was sudden. We break down where this leaves Russia without its most prominent opposition as Putin continues to gain power. A young Alberta woman murdered in the Shetland Islands. Her boyfriend charged.
This is the sickest thing you could possibly imagine.
Her father opens up only to CBC News. A race against time to save a mysterious shipwreck before it's swept back out to sea.
She's breaking apart and we're losing a lot of material off that ship all the time.
Who did it belong to, and how did it end up washing up on a Newfoundland shore?
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Hennemanson.
At vigils, protests, and podiums, condemnation is ringing out tonight after news Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has died. World leaders are blaming President Vladimir Putin, accusing him of eliminating his most high-profile opponent. Navalny was just 47 years old. His death at a Russian prison came as a shock, but not a surprise. For years, he fought for Russian democracy and against some powerful people. Now his bravery is being praised and his loss mourned. There's no official cause of death yet, and it may never be known. Briar Stewart shows us how Navalny is being remembered tonight and where this leaves the opposition within Russia.
Across Russia, memorials for Alexei Navalny were small and muted. For years, the Kremlin has been crushing his supporters. More were detained Friday night. It was only outside Russia where people could freely express their anguish and anger. This crowd protested across the street from the Russian embassy in London.
I still you can't believe that thing. It's just too painful.
Navalny's final days were spent here, a remote, harsh penal colony north of the Arctic Circle. Prison officials said the 47-year-old lost consciousness after returning from a walk and couldn't be revived. On Thursday, he appeared in court by video link. He seemed in good spirits, even joking with the judge, which is why news of his death was stunning to so many. Blame immediately fell on Russia's president, Vladimir Putin. Navalny's wife, Yulia, took the stage at a security conference in Munich.
I
want Putin and all of his entourage, Putin's friends and his government to know that they will be held accountable for what they have done to our country, to my family, and to my husband, she said. Navalny had spent years challenging the Kremlin and corruption in Russia. In 2020, he nearly died on board a flight from Siberia. He'd been poisoned with a nerve agent. While recovering in Germany, he was asked what his message would be if he was killed.
When I'm killed, it's very simple, not give up.
He chose to return to Russia a few months later, well aware of what was waiting. He was immediately imprisoned.
We tried to do everything we could to help him.
Alexander Palupin is one of dozens of Russian doctors who signed a letter pleading with the Kremlin to show mercy, as Navalny was losing weight and frequently kept in solitary confinement.
The Kremlin didn't like his popularity, and all they can say that he had no support in Russia, but he had a really big support.
Putin didn't mention Navalny at all while touring this factory Friday. He's destined to win his 5th term as president next month, because no opposition is allowed in Putin's Russia. Mourners are not even given the chance to grieve a man who so publicly challenged the Kremlin.
So, Briar, with Navalny's voice now silenced, who could fill the void?
Well, Ian, it really is hard to see anyone emerging in Russia to challenge the Kremlin at this point, and that's because the level of repression just keeps increasing. And the Kremlin really is trying to make a point to go after anybody that even slightly challenges the official line. For instance, lawmakers just passed a bill that allows authorities to confiscate property for anyone accused of spreading fake news about the army. And this is really a deliberate attempt to go after Russians who have left and are living abroad abroad, but are criticizing the government online.
Briar Stewart reporting from London. World leaders were swift in their condemnation of Vladimir Putin, saying Alexei Navalny's death was Putin's fault. Now, as Paul Hunter lays out the question for Western leaders, how to respond.
On the death of Alexei Navalny, U.S. President Joe Biden was blunt.
Make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible.
Likewise, condemnation and fury aimed at Vladimir Putin globally.
No one can look at this regime now and not recognize it for the truly dreadful nature that it has.
Anyone who criticizes Putin, said German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, anyone who stands up for democracy in Russia must fear for their safety and their lives. From Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, this reminder to all.
Double and triple down in our resolve as Canadians and as a country to continue to stand up against Putin.
Canada's ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Rae, wrote on X, Putin murdered Navalny just as surely as if he'd strangled him with his bare hands. But such labeling is hardly new for Vladimir Putin, long accused of eliminating his opponents by any means possible, poisoning, bombing, imprisoning, and going to war. Indeed, as Putin's Russian assault on Ukraine continues, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said this on word of Navalny's death. Obviously, he was killed by Putin, he said. He must be held accountable for what he has done. The question is, what will be done? In 2021, U.S. President Biden vowed if Navalny were to die in prison, there would be devastating consequences for Russia. And so, say some,
if you're going to publicly state that the consequences for the death of Alexei Navalny are to be devastating, then those words have to be filled with action. And if they are not, then the world will conclude that the American president's word is not worth all that much.
Biden underlines much has changed since he made that pledge, including what he called great sanctions across the board against Russia over its war on Ukraine, but on whether more sanctions will now follow Navalny's death.
We're looking at a whole number of options. That's all I'll say right now.
And Paul, in the United States, this is, of course, an election year.
Yeah, and so by this time next year, it could be Joe Biden as president or Donald Trump facing Vladimir Putin, and that could bring a very different tone. Trump has yet to comment on Navalny's death, but we heard him a week ago, in effect, saying to Putin, as far as he's concerned, Russia could do, quote, whatever the hell they want to NATO countries that don't spend more on defense. Biden weighed in on that today, calling Trump's comments dangerous and pledging, if Biden's reelected, absolute support for NATO countries against Putin.
Paul Hunter in Washington. In that documentary you saw in Breyer's story, Navalny urged his supporters to never give up, even if he died.
Если это произошло, это означает, что мы необыкновенно сильны в этот момент, раз они решили меня убить.
That was filmed a few years ago after Navalny was poisoned, and the film won an Oscar. We'll talk to the Canadian director, Daniel Rohr, and why he's pushing for action not just from within Russia, but from the West. That's in about 20 minutes. Donald Trump has been hit with his stiffest financial punishment yet, as the judge in his civil fraud trial ordered him to pay almost $500 million in fines and interest. New York's Attorney General calls it justice. The former president calls it conspiracy. Chris Reyes takes us through it.
Trump Tower may still stand tall and golden in Manhattan, but its owner, Donald Trump, now has a tab of more than $450 million owed to the state of New York.
That represents $363.9 million in disgorgement, plus $100 million in interest.
In his ruling Friday, Judge Arthur Engoron also banned Trump from running a New York corporation or borrowing money from a New York bank for 3 years. He imposed similar but shorter bans on his 2 adult sons. He also fined them $4 million each, all for their roles in fraudulently overvaluing their family company's real estate assets by billions of dollars, securing better bank loans and insurance rates as a result.
I want to be clear. When the powerful break the law and take more than their fair share, there are fewer resources available for working people. small businesses, and families.
Outside Mar-a-Lago, a fuming Trump railed against the ruling and accused his political rival of pulling the strings.
It all comes out of Biden. It's a witch hunt against his political opponent, the likes of which our country has never seen.
In Engoron's ruling, he called Trump's lack of contrition pathological and shut down Trump's claims that there was no fraud because banks got paid.
The image of him as
New York author Joe Conason has followed the Trump empire for years. He says this decision strikes at the heart of Trump's self-proclaimed brand as a billionaire business genius.
There is, in fact, a lot of deception at the heart of Trump's business model that I think people are going to find out more about now.
Now, the AG didn't get the lifetime ban on Trump doing business in New York that she asked for, but the ruling is still a major victory for Letitia James after a long road. She launched the investigation into Trump's business back in 2019. The fight is far from over. Trump's lawyers say they will appeal. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
In Kansas City, 2 teenagers have been charged over Wednesday's deadly shooting spree at the Super Bowl parade. The 2 suspects are being held on gun-related charges and resisting arrest. Additional charges are expected. 1 woman died in the attack. 21 other people were injured, and that includes 11 children. Shock and anger tonight for the father of an Alberta woman found dead on Scotland's Shetland Islands. Clint Levesque received the difficult news this week that his 24-year-old daughter was killed, allegedly at the hands of her boyfriend. Levesque spoke exclusively with our Julia Wong.
This is the sickest thing you could possibly imagine.
Waves of anger keep hitting Clint Levesque after Scottish police found his daughter, 24-year-old Claire, dead on the remote Shetland Islands.
This is terrible. Like, there's no words to describe this whole situation.
Originally from Westlock, Alberta, about 90 kilometers north of Edmonton, Clint says Claire traveled to the Shetland Islands late last year with her boyfriend, Aaron Pearson, who's a local. He says the two started dating last summer after meeting in Edmonton.
I guess somehow he convinced my daughter to go to this island, quit your job, I'll take care of you for the rest of your life.
He says he received strange text messages Sunday from Pearson, indicating something was wrong in the relationship, and flights were booked for the couple to return to Canada.
Things aren't really adding up.
Scottish police say they responded to a disturbance here Sunday afternoon and found Claire dead. Not far from the crime scene, a damaged vehicle was pulled from the water. Police won't say what happened, only that a man was taken to hospital. Court records show Pearson is now charged with murder.
In a close-knit community like Sanus and indeed the rest of Shetland, it is felt very keenly.
Global Affairs says it's aware of the death of a Canadian in Scotland. Clint is doing his best to focus on his daughter's memory.
She's so friendly to everybody she's met. I just want justice.
Court records in Alberta show Pearson has a criminal history. He appeared in court in Scotland Thursday and remains in custody. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
The man charged in yesterday's stabbing attack at an apartment building outside of Montreal had a history of mental health issues. 2 women were killed, including his mother.
The next step is the return of the evaluation of a psychiatrist. He's going to decide if he's fit to trial.
44-year-old Fabio Puisi appeared in court by video today. He has twice been found not criminally responsible on previous assault and fraud charges. He's charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, attempted murder, and aggravated assault. A third victim, a woman in her 70s, is expected to recover. Turning to the Middle East, where satellite images seem to show Egypt constructing a fortified buffer zone west of Gaza amid growing fears of an Israeli offensive in Rafah. Images show land being flattened and walls being built in a large area near the border. That's prompted concern Egypt is preparing for a potential influx of Palestinians. Cairo denying this, saying it opposes any displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. And the WHO is expressing deep concern as it tries to contact Gaza's largest functioning hospital after a raid by Israeli forces. The IDF raiding Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis on Thursday, saying they had information Hamas members and hostage bodies were inside. The Hamas-run health agency now says 5 intensive care patients have died due to power outages and a lack of oxygen supplies. Protesting farmers in India are vowing not to give up their fight as they try to make their way to the capital. They're demanding guaranteed crop prices, but police aren't letting them budge. South Asia correspondent Salima Shivji traveled to those blockades outside of Delhi.
A fourth day of protests. And once again, tear gas causing chaos among the farmers. Gathered here at the border waiting, their march on Delhi paused. They've been here some 200 kilometers away from the capital for several days now, their camp becoming entrenched, with police not letting them advance, and the anger against the authorities is deepening. We came unarmed, carrying only flags, farmer Sukhvinder Singh says, but the government's response has been so aggressive.
There's a deep sense of frustration among the many farmers here that India's government under Narendra Modi may have listened to their demands but didn't really hear them. They say he certainly did nothing about it.
Narendra Modi.
This government is all talk, Gurmeet Singh says, and it's full of liars. They promised us relief but didn't deliver. The farmers want a guaranteed minimum price for their crops and debt relief, loans waived. The pain of working in the fields too acute. We're worried about how to sell our crops, Manjinder Kaur says. Without a government-set price, there's always the fear we won't receive a fair amount. I'm 63 years old, she says, and I've never seen a government disregard farmers like this. That feeling lingers from the protests that took over India's capital 3 years ago, demanding controversial agricultural reform laws be withdrawn. That months-long protest worked. This one is currently stalled as talks continue between government officials and union leaders to defuse the standoff. Still, the farmers gathered here are determined.
And to ask the question from the Prime Minister and the central government about their promises, why they have not fulfilled their promises, why they are ignoring the farmers, laborers of this country.
As they prepare for a long wait to get the concessions they say they need. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Delhi.
1 year ahead of the Invictus Games in BC, Prince Harry hits the ice. His tribute to athletes.
The smiles on the faces that I've seen over the last few days.
And what he said about his father. A community in Newfoundland is racing to preserve what's left of a shipwreck.
She's breaking apart and we're losing a lot of material off that ship all the time.
And
it's all I ever have.
Bob Marley's One Love hits the silver screen.
We're bringing that again to the people of the world.
We're back in tune. Prince Harry hitting the ice this afternoon in Vancouver. He was joined by singer Michael Bublé for a round of adaptive curling. The Duchess of Sussex supporting from the sidelines. It was all part of a 3-day trip for the royal couple to meet veterans and generate excitement for next year's Invictus Games in BC, a project near and dear to the prince's heart.
The smiles on the faces that I've seen over the last few days, it proves why we do what we do. Every single one of you inspire me and you inspire us every single day.
Those comments come after Harry's father, King Charles, was diagnosed with cancer. The prince visited him briefly last week. He opened up about that in an exclusive interview with ABC News.
I love my family. The fact that I was able to get on a plane and go and see him and spend any time with him, I'm grateful for that.
An illness in the family can have a galvanizing or sort of reunifying effect for a family.
Absolutely.
Is that possible in this case?
Yeah, I'm sure. Throughout all these families, I see it on a day-to-day basis.
Harry says he plans to visit his father again during his treatment. The race is on to save a mysterious shipwreck off the southwest coast of Newfoundland. It washed ashore last month, but has since been battered by the sea. Heather Gillis has more on the community efforts to salvage what's left and tell its story.
It was a surprise from the sea when this shipwreck washed ashore in Cape Ray on Newfoundland's southwest coast at the end of January. But storm surge this past week has battered the wreck, pushing it a little further out to sea.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
No problem.
See you next time, man.
Anytime. See you soon.
Diver Sean Bath is packing up and heading to Cape Ray from St. John's. He has a 900-kilometer drive ahead of him and will be worrying about the wreck the whole time.
Yeah, my biggest concern now is it still going to be there when we get over there, or how much damage is done to it, because it's been tied on 2 different times now, and both times the sea had bust off the parts it was tied to.
Bath says the surf and storm surge is shearing parts off the ship, whittling down what was first measured to be 125 feet in length.
This time when we measure it, she's probably going to be down to 95 or something. She's breaking apart, and we're losing a lot of material off that ship all the time.
The province's top archaeologist is analyzing samples from the ship. He says it's from the 1800s, but that it isn't a significant wreck. People in the community of Cape Ray don't agree.
Because right now we're thinking that this came ashore for us to tell the story.
Ann Osmond hopes to preserve it and boost tourism, but that comes with a high price tag.
Preserving a wooden hull of this size to a museum standard would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's really expensive preserving wood that's been in the sea for centuries.
People in the area are fundraising to save the wreck and conserve it. Some have stepped up with equipment.
But time is definitely not in our favor. So, I mean, hopefully sooner rather than later. And again, funding is a big issue.
The name and origin of the shipwreck is still a mystery, one people in Cape Ray hope to solve before the wreck slips back beneath the sea. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Alexei Navalny's death shocked the world, but those close to him say his fight lives on.
If Navalny were here, he would tell us all to stop crying, to take a shot of vodka, and to get back to work.
My interview with the Canadian documentary filmmaker who became friends with a political prisoner. And Paul McCartney's stolen bass returned 5 decades later.
He'd seen the pictures and he said, I'm sure that's my bass.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Taylor Swift has made a $100,000 donation to a fundraiser for the family of the shooting victim killed at the Super Bowl victory parade. Lisa Lopez Galvin was a DJ. She was at the parade with her husband and children when she was fatally shot. The singer wrote on the GoFundMe page, "Sending my deepest sympathies and condolences in the wake of your devastating loss." And Swift is indirectly helping another good cause, this time a Canadian one. The jersey she and Travis Kelce signed is up for auction. Proceeds will help the Ontario charity, the Guelph Wish Fund for Children. A sports memorabilia collector donated the jersey, which came with authenticity certificates. Bidding in the online auction starts at $3,000. Decades after his death, a biopic on Bob Marley hit theaters this week. The reggae musician was all about peace, love, and unity. But as Magda Geberselassie shows us, this film is leaving fans and critics divided.
'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
The music, the message, the man is legendary. And now, with his family's backing, he's getting the Hollywood treatment with the biopic Bob Marley, One Love.
One love, that philosophy, that idea, the idea for unify humanity. I mean, the message is missing in the world today. We're bringing that again to the people of the world.
And that time is now.
The film focuses on just a few crucial years of the musician's life, kicking things off in 1976. During a time of political violence in Jamaica, Marley is planning a show to call for peace. That's when there's an assassination attempt on his life. He, his wife, and others survive the shooting and continue with the show. From there, the movie follows Marley's journey to the UK, the making of the Exodus album with the Wailers, and his success reaching new heights of stardom, despite signs of trouble.
It just felt like a rich period of time, as he gets his cancer diagnosis, before he gets too sick, to celebrate Bob, celebrate what he was singing for.
Fans of Marley and the reggae scene as a whole say it's about time there was a biopic.
There's a source of pride, in many things. And a Jamaican boy doing what he did, a Rastaman doing what he did.
While he has high hopes for the film, many critics aren't feeling it. Reviewers say the movie is stunted, watered down, and anything but revolutionary. But giving the film a warmer reception are moviegoers that got an early look.
The film was phenomenal.
I feel like this movie kind of brought, his soul and what his purpose was.
Spreading that original message of love and peace.
Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
It's time now to break down the news shaping our world, what Alexei Navalny's death means for Russia's opposition. But first, what drove him to fight. Alexei Navalny was barred from elections, arrested, jailed, harassed, attacked, poisoned, and finally imprisoned for what became a death sentence. But he seemed to know the price, and still, he did not yield. Director Daniel Rohrer was with Navalny in the months before his return to Russia, as recorded in the Oscar-winning documentary Navalny. And Daniel Rohrer joins us now from Los Angeles. What was your reaction waking up to the news today?
Well, Ian, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the program. A lot of people were surprised to hear just how shocked I was. For anyone who's followed Navalny, who's seen the film, this situation, this tragedy must seem like it's not a surprise. But in spite of that, I just was shocked when I heard the news. It seemed so random. It seemed like it came out of nowhere. Why now? And after, an hour or two of shock and disbelief, reality set in, and I was left with this deep well of grief.
For many of us, he is a world figure, a person in a documentary. For you, he's somebody that you know, and you know his family. And I wonder what your, so the depth of your feeling today. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm just struck at how sad this is and how sad I feel and how angry I feel. It seems so senseless. And in spite of the fact that this is something that is not surprising in lieu of the circumstances, I still feel totally shocked by this. There's no reason or rhyme. It should have happened today. I don't know why it happened now. It's just devastating. And I think that my heart is breaking for Yulia, his wife, his daughter Dasha, and his son Zahar. I'm holding them very close to my thoughts today, and for all of his family, friends, and the tens of millions of Russians who support him and love him and were hoping he would be the president of the great Russia of the future.
Your documentary was so powerful, and there's a moment from it that seems particularly poignant today. You asked him his message in case he was killed, and in English he said, "It's simple, don't give up." And then you asked him to speak to the Russian people. Let's play that excerpt.
Do me a favor, answer this one in Russian.
И здесь у меня просто очевидная вещь. Не сдавайтесь. Не надо, нельзя сдаваться. Если это произошло, это означает, что мы необыкновенно сильны в этот момент, раз они решили меня убить. И нужно использовать эту силу. Не сдаваться. Помнить о том, что мы огромная сила, которая находится под гнетом вот этих вот чуваков плохих, лишь потому что мы не можем осознать, насколько действительно мы сильны. Все, что нужно для торжества зла, это бездействие добрых людей. Поэтому бездействовать не надо.
Don't give up was his message. And when I look at that, and when he says those words, you realize he's somebody who's healthy and who's confident and who has a vision for the future. But as you hear those words today, I mean, do you think he ever thought that this would pass? Did he think that this was a possibility?
And you're speaking, Ian, about his death, about the inevitability of his...
Yeah.
Look, Navalny was a smart man. He was not naive. He understood full well the danger of his work, his occupation, and his insistence. Any opportunity to take a shot at Putin, he would take the shot. He was an agitator. It's what he felt like he had to do towards the mission, to further the mission of unseating this brutal, murderous president. And so I would say that this outcome is, although not a surprise, this is not what he wanted. He didn't want to be a martyr. He has a family. He has 2 beautiful children. He wanted to live. He loved life. He was a very charismatic, happy, funny man. And this is not what he wanted. And it's challenging to speculate about his internal thoughts and his internal life and whether or not he knew that this was going to happen or not.
At one point in the documentary, you ask him the difference between him and President Putin, and I want to play that excerpt as well.
How is President Navalny different from President Putin?
Well, my major task as a president just to prevent, this damn circle of re-establish authoritarian regime. In authoritarian country, you're pro-authoritarian leader or you are against authoritarian leader. So we are in more primitive politics like human rights, freedom of speech, fair election.
Daniel, that gives us a sense of what Russia would have been like if Navalny had been president. This is an impossibly broad question, perhaps, but what do you think the future of Russia is now?
Well, Ian, it's my hope that this profound tragedy and the anger and grief that comes with this murder are transformed into action. Right now, things in Russia look bleak, but I'm reminded of that old adage, the night is darkest just before the dawn. And it is my hope that Navalny's supporters and his staff and his family are able to turn this moment into something positive for Russia. If Navalny were here, he would tell us all to stop crying, to take a shot of vodka, and to get back to work. Because fighting for democracy is not easy, and we need to be focused and keep our eye on the prize. And that's for both the Russian context, but also the rest of the world. We live in a context where the sort of tides of authoritarianism are rushing in and out all over the world. And as active citizens, we can't take our democracy for granted. And that's especially true in countries all over the world.
Your documentary focused so much more attention on Navalny, especially, I think, in the West. And so to pick up on what you just said there, as a Canadian living in the United States, do you think Navalny's message to the rest of the world has been heard, will be heard, that people are motivated to act outside of Russia?
Well, I certainly hope so. I'm not naive, though, Ian. Here in the United States, there are political factions who would seek to embrace authoritarian tendencies, who would seek to cozy up to Putin and undermine NATO. So here especially, we should not take democratic traditions of the United States for granted. And I think that that's something that I hope people remember when they see this movie. Russia is one situation, but the rise of authoritarianism plagues countries all over the world. And again, active citizens can't be inactive. That's Navalny's final message at the end of the movie. And I hope that that's what people really are reminded of and thinking about this evening.
I know this has been a difficult day for many people, including you, and so I do appreciate you taking the time with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Ian.
Navalny's allies are also speaking out about what his death means for Putin's critics.
Security, democracy, and human rights are interconnected.
My conversation with the exiled leader of the Belarusian opposition is next. Alexei Navalny's movement was about calling out the fraud, corruption, and oppression of Vladimir Putin's Russia. His death sends a message.
Of course, it will have a chilling effect.
The violence of the state is going to demolish anybody.
Now, questions about how the opposition moves forward without him. Upon hearing about her husband's death, Yulia Navalnaya stood before the Munich Security Conference and sent a message of her own.
Я долго думала, стоит ли мне выйти сюда или сразу лететь к моим детям. Но потом я подумала, что бы сделал Алексей на моем месте. И я уверена, что он бы был здесь. Он был бы на этой сцене. Я хочу, чтобы Путин, все его окружение, путинские друзья, его правительство знали, что они понесут за то, что они сделали с нашей страной, с моей семьей и с моим мужем ответственность. И этот день наступит очень скоро.
By her side, as the news broke, Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya. Her husband also imprisoned, his whereabouts unknown. I spoke to her earlier today. Thank you very much for doing this at what is obviously a very difficult time. Let me begin by asking you your reaction to Navalny's death.
I'm now situated in Munich Security Forum, where wife of Alexei Navalny also was. And, the shocking news of Navalny's death is like a dark reminder that security, democracy, and human rights are interconnected. There will be no security without humanity and vice versa. We don't have doubts who is responsible for Navalny's death. He was murdered by Putin's regime. And it is the reminder to the whole world that dictators don't have limits. They don't have humanity. I was, this death or murder of Navalny is very close to me because my husband is in prison for 4 years already. And the last 1 year, he is kept incommunicado mode. So it means that I don't know anything about him. Lawyer is not allowed to visit him. Letters are not delivered. So I don't know if he's alive, in what state he is, if he's put in punishment cell as often as Alexei Navalny. And, it's so painful.
And so you spoke today to Navalny's wife, Yulia. What was her reaction?
I think that she might still has very small hope that he might be alive, that it's like, conspirology. But I think that in her mind, she realizes that it's truth. But, now she's keeping strong because she has to give many comments, but I think that she will grieve about her loss when she will stay one-to-one with herself. She worries a lot about her children, their children who were very close to Alexei. And of course, it's huge loss, not only for family, but also for compatriots of Alexei. And actually, Alexei is a symbol of another Russia. He's the person who was fighting against corruption in Russia, and I believe that Russia lost a real hero.
So what does this say, do you think, to opposition forces in Russia, those who are fighting, for example, corruption and fighting the excesses of the Putin regime? What do you think will happen to that movement?
Of course, it's a message of a dictator that any opponent, even the most significant and important now, can be killed in prison. It's like it's a way to threaten population. And the same happening actually in Belarus, in our country. People are scared by the regime, by KGB, by constant interrogation, and just to suppress people will for changes. But despite of this, today I saw the last message of Navalny that he recorded a long time ago, just to be published in the case of his death. He told that people, you have to realize your power. You don't have to stop. I might be dead, but you will continue my duties. So I want to believe that in Russia there are people who will continue Navalny's path but it's it's also about our country, where millions of people are on the in this fight for democratic changes. But also Navalny is a reminder to powerful politicians, democratic politicians, that Navalny is an example for them as a brave person, and they also have to be brave and strong enough to fight with dictators, fight with tyranny.
I know it's been a very busy day for you and a difficult day, and we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us here in Canada.
Thank you.
A change of pace after the break. Sir Paul's bass, thought to be stolen from a van, finally makes its way home.
Paul recorded the first two Beatles albums with this bass.
The hunt for a piece of Beatles history in our moment.
Why, hello. It's me, Seth Rogen, here at Granville Island in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's where 10 potters will be facing off in the most extraordinary ceramics competition show that this country has ever seen.
From self-described pothead to potter, Vancouver's own Seth Rogen is sharing his love of ceramics on the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown. We'll have a wide-ranging feature interview with him this Sunday on The National, but we also wanted to have a bit of fun. 8 rapid-fire questions in 2 minutes. 8 questions in 2 minutes. You ready for this?
I am.
Okay, you can have fun with this. If somebody said to you, you have to make a choice between stand-up, acting, or writing, what would you say to them?
I'd probably choose acting because it pays the best.
Okay.
Who is this schmuck?
Finish this sentence. If I hadn't made it in show business, I would have...
got a job at a comic book store. What's this?
It's a gas gun.
Gas gun? How does it even work?
Indulge me, we're going to do a Vancouver Park part to this. I'm going to mention 3 parks and just something about like a personal connection to that. First one, Pacific Spirit Park. It was the endowment lands once upon a time.
Oh yeah, I did shrooms there once. So much I lost my mind.
The mushrooms are reacting poorly.
You look insane. Only your right eye is working.
Do I look weird now?
Yes, you look weird. Still weird.
Stanley Park.
Stanley Park, the seawall. Love the seawall. Still ride it every time I'm in Vancouver.
And this is an odd one to choose, but I'm going to ask you, Douglas Park.
Douglas Park, I think, is where I had sports day as a kid, actually, growing up. So yeah, I always think of that.
Nice. A little bit more word association, Jay Baruchel.
Montreal. That's what I think of when I think of Jay.
But you guys are close friends, right?
We are, yes.
Yeah.
What the f are you doing?
Baking a cake. Jay, what does it look like I'm doing?
In the short question, short answer, cannabis.
Great. I start with a bunch of wheat. I put it in the kiln.
Ceramics? Great.
Oh my God. When the East is in the house. Oh my God.
Okay, and the final question, your favorite spot in Vancouver?
That's a tough one. I really like Granville Island.
Why, hello. It's me, Seth Rogen, here at Granville Island in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's where 10 potters will be facing off in the most extraordinary ceramics competition show that this country has ever seen.
Which is why it was nice to make the show there. It's like legitimately where I'm always trying to go when I'm there.
All right.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that is a Hofner 501 bass guitar, belongs to Paul McCartney. Die-hard Beatles fans might know it as the bass used to record some of the band's greatest hits before the instrument disappeared. 5 decades and a global hunt later, it was found and returned to its rightful owner, all thanks to the Lost Bass Project and Nick Wass, who told us what it took to find it. The stolen Beatles bass is our moment.
He'd seen the pictures and he said, I'm sure that's my bass. He was very excited. The bass was stolen. Paul McCartney bought this guitar when he was with the Beatles in Hamburg in 1961. Paul recorded the first 2 Beatles albums with this bass. All those big hits, we all know, She Loves You, Twist and Shout, All My Loving, Can't Buy Me Love. I went to see Paul in 2018. Paul said to me, hey, do you know where my lost bass is? And I thought, well, let's try finding it. We got a lot of emails, about 150. 2 of those emails stood out. The first one came from the roadie for Paul McCartney, who was driving the van that the base was stolen from. We were able to trace who took the base. The guy who stole it only had it for about 2 days and sold it, and it stayed in his family till today. Paul called me one evening to tell me they'd got the base. No other base like it anyway, so it wasn't a hard job to authenticate it. It needs quite some repairs. So when that's done, I'm hoping Paul will play it for us somewhere, somehow.
So lots of tips came in, and I'm sure investigators everywhere who have worked on all kinds of cases can relate to this. Some of the tips said that this base was as far away as Japan. There were even tips saying that it was in Canada, but as we heard, fairly close to home in the end. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to the National's YouTube channel. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Vancouver. I hope you can join me Sunday for Cross Country Checkup on CBC News Network and CBC Radio, then back here for the National. Have a great Saturday.